This is the Yocal Idaho Midweek Report, where we give you a quick overview of the news in Idaho for the last week. Specifically, this week we'll be starting off by looking at the Moscow murder trial and how it might be coming to the Treasure Valley here in Boise, how Kroger is going all out and trying to get its merger through, an update on the Sandpoint Army surplus fire and the trial with the suspect for that. And then lastly, we'll wrap up the first half of our segments here with the chronic wasting disease and how it's been reported up north with a deer. Starting off with that first one that I teased, the defense team for Brian Kohberger, accused in the University of Idaho student murders, is pushing to move his trial from Moscow to Boise. They argued that the intense media coverage has created a mob mentality in Moscow, making a fair trial impossible. But looking at the specifics of it and the reasoning behind it, the defense cites a phone survey and expert analysis to support their claims. Prosecutors oppose the move, suggesting that selecting a jury from nearby Nez Perce County would suffice, so you wouldn't need to go the full distance down here to the Treasure Valley. Moscow mayor believes the trial should stay local, citing statewide awareness of the case. So basically say, if it's statewide, it doesn't matter where we do it, we just need to do it. Specifically, the victim's family, the Concalves, prefer the trial remaining in Layton County there. But moving forward, Judge John will hear arguments on August 29th regarding the potential venue change. The trial is set for June 25th, which could carry the death penalty if Kohberger is convicted. Which, speaking of trials and things, Kroger is pulling out all the stops to push through its Kroger-Albertsons merger. The company has sued the Federal Trade Commission in Cincinnati, challenging the constitutionality of the FTC's administrative court process. This move comes on the heels of a recent Supreme Court decision to limit federal agencies' power to use in-house tribunals. So if you remember correctly, the Supreme Court knocked down how much power the administrative state has. Kroger is arguing that the FTC's approach violates Article 2 and 3 of the Constitution. While some legal experts view this as a Hail Mary attempt, if successful, it could potentially upend antitrust regulation in the United States. Lawsuit comes as Kroger faces a mid-October deadline to complete the Albertsons deal, with hearings set in multiple states, which we've talked about that before. If you want, go check out our past midweek reports. CEO Rodney McMullen insists that federal court is the appropriate venue for this matter, but looking toward the future here, the outcome could reshape the grocery industry. If the merger goes through, Kroger will acquire most of Albertsons stores and C&S wholesale grocers, potentially taking over the other ones there. And continuing with the trial theme, we have a ton of those this week. Jennifer Meyer, the 50-year-old suspect who you might remember from the Sandpoint Army surplus arson, has been deemed incapable of assisting in her own defense. Judge Deborah Hayes ordered Meyer into treatment with the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare for up to 90 days. Specifically, the decision comes after Meyer's erratic behavior during court appearances and concerns raised by her public defender. Meyer is accused of setting the July 4th fire that destroyed the Army surplus building up there, with evidence from surveillance leading to her arrest. Despite being found significantly impaired, Meyer was not deemed dangerously mentally ill. But moving forward after the treatment, she will be reevaluated to determine her fitness to stand trial on first-degree arson charge, which carries a potential 25-year sentence. A little bit of time there. Meyer remains held on a $1 million bond due to flight risk concerns. And then moving out of trial stuff, but still something up there in northern Idaho, a white-tailed deer was found near Bonners Ferry and has tested positive for chronic wasting disease, or CWD, marking its first appearance in northern Idaho. This discovery has had some, as you can guess, concerns for both hunters and non-hunters alike up north. But specifically the details on it, and you might not know what CWD is, it is a fatal brain disease affecting deer, elk, and moose, causing severe weight loss and abnormal behaviors. It can devastate wildlife populations, impact ecosystems, and recreational activities because of that. For those that are non-hunters, you might not think this is anything, but the biggest takeaway with it would be that it means there's likely going to be changes in the local wildlife dynamics and increased wildlife management to try to contain it. Idaho Fish and Game is now prioritizing detection and containment to protect the big game population in the area. They're asking hunters to test killed animals and urging the public to report sick or unusually acting deer and elk. But moving forward, the hope is that these measures and collaboratory efforts between wildlife officials and hunters and local residents will really be able to stop the disease's spread and protect Idaho's natural heritage and overall game population up north there. And then last one here, and it's something we all love to talk about here in Idaho, is fire season. Thankfully, it's almost wrapping up. Idaho's wildfire season has been interesting, to say the least, with multiple fires threatening towns and areas across the state. Specifically, a couple fires, the Wapita fire, now exceeds about 35,000 acres and has prompted evacuations near Stanley Lake and put the town on Stanley on high alert. Highway 21 has been closed from Stanley to Lowman due to the fire's rapid spread. The second one, the Middle Fork complex, including the Nellie fire, has triggered a go evacuation order for the Danskin area near the Payette River. And then lastly, the Snag fire, part of the West Mountain complex, has burned about 23,000 acres, so a little bit smaller than up there in Stanley, leading to a ready evacuation order for Warm Lake residents. But overall, these fires, along with others in Boise and the Sawtooth National Forest, have caused numerous road closures and campground closures likewise. Wildfire fires have been working tirelessly to protect structures and contain blazes, but with the changing winds and stuff we've been having lately and the difficult terrain of a lot of where these fires have started, it has posed some significant challenges for them to really get them under control. Which, if you like that first set of stories, do us a favor and hit the like button on YouTube, Rumble, or Twitter. Helps us reach more folks who love Idaho just like you. And moving on to another topic that's been popular in the political space here in Idaho. At the August 20th Bonner County's Commission meeting, discussion ranged from financial concerns to voting systems, wink, ranked choice voting. Specifically, Commissioner Asia Williams reported a controversial $72,000 payment to a former employee, which is now under review by the Attorney General's office. The board also addressed the ongoing Camp Bay public access issue, with Commissioner Ahmed emphasizing legal restraint on intervening in private property matters. Most notably, Commissioner Williams highlighted the importance of educating voters about ranked choice voting and open primaries, topics of a recent development on the ballot initiative. She announced the plans for a nonpartisan presentation by Secure Idaho Elections to inform the public. But the broader context is this comes amid statewide debate in opposition to ranked choice voting, with the Attorney General Raul Labrador, as you might remember, recently attempting to file a lawsuit to block the initiative. Which, then again, speaking of Raul Labrador, he's at it again. Idaho Attorney General Raul Labrador has announced plans to appeal the Bureau of Land Management's decision on the controversial Lava Ridge wind project. The proposed wind project, set to be one of the largest in the United States, has encountered, let's put it this way, some significant opposition from state lawmakers and local communities. Specifically, Labrador was speaking to the Idaho Legislators Committee on Federalism, presenting a strategy to collaborate with multiple interest groups and counties in challenging the project. The Lava Wind Project, planned for southern Idaho, has stirred some concerns, as you can guess, about its impact on the Minidoka National Historical Site and nearby animal life. Senator Jim Risch has also, so at the national level, has also proposed legislation to delay the project pending a GAO study. But moving forward with multiple pronged opposition to the project, it definitely shows an ongoing tension between renewable energy advocates and locals who just really care about the environment and the culture here in Idaho and don't want to trample it underfoot for renewable energy projects. And speaking of Big Brother here, Twin Falls gun shop owners are at odds with local police over the use of Leads Online, an online reporting system for secondhand firearm purchases. Shop owners claim that the system acts as a de facto gun registry program requiring personal customer information. Specifically, they argue that this violates privacy rights and goes beyond federal requirements. The Twin Falls Police Department objects, saying it isn't creating a gun registry, and the goal is to prevent stolen firearm sales. Police Chief Craig Kingsburg emphasized the department's support to Second Amendment and commitment to public safety. The dispute has drawn attention from state legislators, specifically with Senator Galina Zeiderfeld, seeking clarification from the Attorney General's office on Idaho's gun registry definition and the potential conflict with state law. But moving forward, the controversy between the police department and gun shops shows the balance that law enforcement has between the desires for public safety and really gun rights when it comes to people having their Second Amendment. And speaking of guns and something you don't hear about every day, there was a bank robbery in Mountain Homeless last week, and ended in a dramatic capture on August 20th. The specific details are that the Chase Bank in Mountain Home was hit at about 9:15 a.m., triggering a swift response by police. Eyewitness accounts led officers to the getaway vehicle, where one suspect immediately surrendered. However, the second suspect fled to a high-speed chase on I-84. Police eventually stopped the vehicle using a pit maneuver near mile marker 104. Man, they're loving that pit maneuver lately. As for some added bit on here, was a bit I thought that was relevant. Adding to the tension, a backpack was left at the bank and was thought to contain explosives, but later was found out to be harmless and didn't have any issue there. The primary suspects were booked into the Elmore County Detention Center, while, with that said, the initial driver claiming ignorance of the plot was released. Moving forward, remarkably, no injuries or civilian vehicle damages were reported, and all stolen cash was recovered, bringing a just end to the Eastern Idaho's bank heist over there, which sounds like you guys had a very interesting week last week. And keeping over there in Eastern Idaho and going a little further, Campylobacteriosis outbreak in Idaho has sickened 18 people, try to say that 5 times fast, with 17 cases linked to a raw dairy milk from Paradise Grove Dairy in Eastern Idaho. The outbreak, first reported on July 24th, prompted an investigation by state health agencies. 11 cases were in counties surveyed by the Central Health District. Paradise Grove Dairy temporarily suspended milk production after being notified, but resumed on August 12th after negative test results. Dairy has since increased testing frequency to try to catch any other mistakes. State officials did note the challenges in identifying contaminated products due to dairy's short shelf lives. But moving forward, symptoms of Campylobacteriosis include diarrhea, nausea, and fever. Typically, it appears 2 to 5 days after exposure, so if you feel some of those symptoms, you might want to go check and see if maybe you had it. Which, if you want to help people know that's something that happened over there in Eastern Idaho, or some of the other stuff that we've talked about on the ranked choice voting topic, please don't hesitate to share this episode. Your shares can help us spread the word about our beautiful state. And speaking of beautiful and wonderful things, the Idaho Falls Farmers Market is going year-round this year with the introduction of a new winter market. Running from November to April, the indoor market will be held monthly at the Snake River Event Center / Shiloh Inn. Specifically, Court Pincock, the market's president, initiated the expansion following a successful trial last December. While the summer market is proud of its 125 weekly vendors. Oh my goodness, that's very impressive. The winter version is aiming for 75, so a little smaller, but still a very decent number. It's offering a mix of artisanal goods, food products, and some agricultural items like meat, cheese, and bread. Although fresh produce will be limited compared to summer months, some of the people might need greenhouses or grow rooms and stuff to be able to do that, the market is striving for a good array of local products. Moving forward as we go into the winter months, this event not only provides a warm, family-friendly atmosphere during the cold months, but I would appeal to it also as a wonderful way to support local businesses in the winter, because they can be a little tougher then. Speaking of cool and exciting things, the Idaho State University professor Emmanuel Zappella has developed an AI tool called BrainLM. It could definitely change the game on brain research. An easy way to help think of it is it's like a chat GPT for your brain, capable of generating brain activity records for various brain states. Specifically, it was trained on a massive data set of about 6,700 hours of brain activities from 42,000 individuals. BrainLM can predict clinical variables like age, anxiety, and PTSD. The real exciting part about this is that this foundational model is a versatile starting point for neuroscientists, potentially speeding up the research into diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. By providing a pre-trained base, BrainLM could significantly reduce time and costs of brain-related studies when you got to get all these people together and test them, rather than you have the brain simulator over there to see what a normal brain should look like. Moving forward and considering the future, Zappella envisions AI models that predict individual risks of developing neurological diseases decades in advance, and opening doors for early innovations and preventative strategies for people that may have a high likelihood of them. And speaking of developments, and it's not AI or anything, but it's something that we all hate and love at the same time, a major multi-year project to expand Interstate 15 in eastern Idaho is underway. The Idaho Transportation Department is widening I-15 to 3 lanes in each direction. between the Northgate and Fort Hall interchanges. Specifically, the project includes constructing a medium barrier and reconstructing bridges to accommodate the additional lanes. Locals can expect traffic control devices and potential nighttime lane closures. The project, divided into 2 sections with separate contractors, helps to maintain 2 open lanes during daytime hours. Other key parts about the change included ramp adjustments at the Fort Hall interchange and variable speed limit signs for worker safety. As for the timeline on the project, the construction is expected to continue until 2027. The goal is to increase capacity, improve safety on the very important stretch of I-15, and meet Eastern Idaho's growing transportation needs over there. And speaking of transportation, a little bit of customization you'll be able to do. Idaho's new wildlife license plates for 2024 are now available, offering you a chance to showcase local art while supporting conservation. The Idaho Fish and Wildlife Foundation has presented 3 new designs, specifically the elk, cutthroat trout, and mountain bluebird, and all of them are created by Idaho artists, so you'll know you'll be supporting those. Specifically, these plates will cost about $35 for new purchases and $25 for renewals. All the contributions go to wildlife programs, but it's specific per plate. For the Bluebird plate, which was illustrated by Stephen Clark from Coeur d'Alene, supports general wildlife efforts there. The Cutthroat Trout plate, also by Clark, helps fund non-motorized boat access for anglers. And then the Elk plate, designed by Courtney Cunningham from Filler, contributes to the wildlife disease control, like the CWD we talked about earlier. Each purchase benefits Idaho's plant and animal life and will offer added customizations to Idaho drivers. For those interested, Idahoans can purchase or renew these plates through the state's Transportation Department website. So yeah, you get to skip the DMV there. Which, if you've loved the episode so far, please make sure to subscribe or follow us so you don't miss any of our future content. Idaho's Adopt a Highway program is getting a digital transformation, moving its application process and systems online. This shift, implemented in late March, aims to streamline operations for the program's 1,000 volunteer groups. Specifically, the new system allows real-time viewing of available route segments, online equipment requests, and digital reports of cleanup results. It is replacing an outdated paper system that often led to delays and miscommunications and stuff, because you got to know who you got to know there. Judy Kohner, the statewide coordinator, touted the benefits, which are reduced frustration, less paperwork, and increased appeal for younger volunteers who might only want to do it online and not talk to a person. While the manual process will be available upon request, the digital approach is expected to save time, reduce waste, and improve efficiency. This modernization does show how the Idaho Transportation Department is trying to stay with the times and working to enhance volunteers' experience and efficiency in roadside maintenance so people can actually volunteer and help, because I see those signs all the time on the road and I don't even know what they are, so really cool that they're updating it there. And speaking of the roads and coming back to the Treasure Valley, where we have a lot of those, Nampa and Eagle have taken contrasting approach to public transit here in the Treasure Valley. Specifically, Nampa, after initial hesitation, decided to maintain its Valley Regional Transit, or VRT, on-demand service, allocating about $471,000 from its general fund and an additional $233,000 in ARPA funds. Nampa's decision allows them to apply for federal transit grants now, potentially bringing in even more funding for infrastructure and transit stuff. But Eagle, on the flip side, has chosen to cut its on-demand service after a 1-year pilot, citing high cost per ride and low ridership as reasons. But with that said, Eagle will maintain its Beyond Access program for seniors and disabled residents, but will discontinue its general public transit. This discussion and things that are going on here reflect an interesting dynamic playing out in the Treasure Valley regarding public transit. Cities struggling with funding and uncertainties have some differing views, as we're seeing here, on transit in the Treasure Valley, and how us as Idahoans and just Americans, public transit is not our favorite thing to choose. We like our own cars. And speaking of an area that's between the two, Meridian there, and awfully busy oftentimes, the district at 10 Mile, a 20,000-acre mixed-use development in Meridian, has received a recommendation for approval from the city's Planning and Zoning Commission despite some initial staff concerns. Specifically proposed by the Ball Ventures Aliquist, the project aims to creating a diverse urban landscape with retail and hotels and offices and residential spaces near Shields. While city staff expressed some worries about the project's alignment with the 17-year-old 10-mile interchange specific area plan, commissioners unanimously supported the proposal. The development, divided into residential, retail, and commercial hospitality zones, aims to unify multiple parcels under a single development agreement. Despite questions about integration and use of zoning and consistency, the project is now on its way to the City Council for its final consideration, which, if you don't like it, that's probably where you're going to need to stop it there, potentially reshaping one of Meridian's busiest freeway exits. And speaking of busy, I need to get out of here, but thank you for listening to the entire report. I sincerely hope you found it enjoyable and valuable. If you like the Midweek Report, please make sure to check out the rest of our content where we're covering stuff on Idaho every week. Also, if we missed any important points or provided incorrect information, please feel free to reach out to us via email at lyimedia@protonmail.com or on Twitter by tweeting us at @LocalYocal Idaho. With the small team we have, we're not able to cover everything, but we do our best to cover the most interesting and important stories. Thank you for your continued support and assistance. That's all for now, and I wish you a fantastic rest of your week. Godspeed.